Hi, welcome to this video, and in this video I'm actually going to measure the caffeine content, not of a beverage but actually of some leaves. So I've got some Guayusa here. It's greenish in colour, so it's kind of not fully dried, let's say, but anyway, I've got some Guayusa here. I'm going to talk about testing it and testing its caffeine content. So I've got a Food Sense Generation 4 in front of me, and I will talk about what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out this old caffeine sensor here, and I'll put it in a fresh caffeine sensor. Now I intended, and I'm sorry it's gone all blurry a little bit down here, but I intended to do a test this morning, and essentially ran out of time. So I've got this app, and this app is in Bluetooth connection with the device down here, and I've got a sample here, and I made up this sample this morning. You're going to see me make up another sample in a minute, but when I made up this sample, I put 50 milligrams of the Guayusa tea. By the way, this tea, when I look at it, is what they call very heterogeneous. There's no way the caffeine is evenly distributed throughout this. I mean, you know, this is a natural product, and this is something that people don't really appreciate in natural products, the kind of heterogeneity in materials. Anyway, 50 milligrams this morning in 1 ml of buffer. I'm just going to reach behind me and grab buffer. The buffer is something that we ship with the particular product. So 50 milligrams, made it this morning. That's about 8 to 10 hours ago. 1 ml of buffer, and at this point now, it's quite the color of this solution is quite sort of brownish. So it's been extracting for quite a few hours. I've got the sensor in there. I'm just going to get myself a clean pipette tip, which I'm now doing. I will put that sample, I put 50 microliters, yeah, onto the sample, sorry, onto the sensor, and off we go. All right, so sample on. I'll go continue, and we will get a result. Now this, I'm not going to say that this result is erroneous, but what I am going to say is that there's actually quite a lot of, I've seen a few papers, and actually the extraction techniques in those papers is variable, and it's not always clear how long people have actually done the extraction for. And just out of interest, they also try to use organic solvents in some of those papers, and actually caffeine is actually more soluble, if I can say that, sometimes in aqueous solutions than it is in organic solvents. So now I hold up my phone and show you the result. So the result is 85.8 milligrams per gram. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I've got 50 milligrams on this balance here. I'm just going to take the sensor away, so I sort of, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 50 milligrams, and I'm just going to put it into here. So what I want to do now is I want to then transfer that into a little tube that I have here. Right, so I've now got the 50 milligrams in this tube. I'm going to get 1 ml of the buffer. Make sure I've got my, this is the caffeine buffer. So I'll take 1 milliliter of that, and I'll put it into the tube. Right, because what we're actually providing at ZP is a caffeine sensor. Now it's important to distinguish that, because we use this caffeine sensor in a number of products. Like one of the things that, because of the commercial interest, you know, there's a big industry around instant coffee. But when you're testing instant coffee, the coffee powder is lyophilized. Now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to vortex it. I'm going to try and vortex it for about 1 minute. So it's vortexing away. I'm just keeping an eye on a clock up there. But now I know it's my arm in the shot, but let me just talk about instant coffee, for example. So instant coffee, it's freeze dried, or scientifically called lyophilized, and it actually solubilizes and disperses really rapidly. They've kind of extracted all the water out of it. It's very porous. It goes into that hot beverage. It breaks down very quickly. So when we're preparing samples, it's quite straightforward to prepare samples because we just take 50 milligrams, we put it in the buffer, we vortex it, it's done. Now, when you look at the samples for tea samples are actually, this one in particular, it's very sort of bits and bobs, quite large surface, no, it's quite small surface areas actually, so it takes a bit of time to extract. I'm just keeping an eye on the time, so we're just getting up to a minute now. Right. So what I'm saying is, and I'll just flick that a bit, right, is this has been about 8 to 10 hours of extraction, and this one is just a few, well, basically a minute. So when you're testing things like natural products like tea, you really have to think about the extraction. And a little bit of the literature, not a little bit, but the literature I've been reading is it's a little bit variable on the extraction. So I put my sensor in here. I make sure I now take this 1 minute extraction sample. I will take my pipette. I will put, and I just want to get this naming right so I can find it. I'm just going to put the word fresh into here so I can basically find it again. Fresh. All right, okay, done. Back. Okay, right, so I'll run that sample in a minute as well. All right. So as I say, I made up a sample this morning. I was intending to run it this morning, but just got busy, so I've left it standing most of the day. I've tested that. That sample came back, I think, about 80 milligrams per gram just a minute ago, but we can watch that. I can rewind that video and find out to remind myself. Now I put this fresh extraction on. I hit start and give that about 20 seconds, and it's now going to analyze it. Now, the nice thing about Food Science Generation 4 is not only do I get the result, but I also get the raw signal in the cloud as well. So it really allows me to kind of analyze the data as well. So I'll just let this run to completion. It'll process the signal and give me a caffeine result back. So I have 60.2 milligrams per gram. And now what I want to do is I just want to think loudly to myself. I just want to share my screen with you. So I've run 2 samples, and if I just do a quick refresh on here. So everything gets uploaded and saved to the cloud. So it's got a really good sort of trackability. I've got 2 samples here. One of them I've labeled fresh, the one I didn't label fresh. So this is the one that kind of came back with a higher result. And you can see, you know, that this is the caffeine peak here. This is the antioxidants here. We've got a very good way of being able to just single out the caffeine peak, which we've done, and we've reported it, and there we are. It was about 86 milligrams per gram there. It was higher, but it does show you how you have to kind of control your SOP, your standard operating procedure. So tea is actually quite heterogeneous. What I mean by that is there's 2 variables in this. There's both the time of extraction, but the actual tea itself is different as well. They both came from the same pack, but when you look at packs like this, I mean, you know, that's not an even distribution of caffeine. Each leaf will be slightly different, but anyway, the biggest factor I suspect the difference between these 2 samples is actually extraction time. So that's come out at 86 milligrams per gram. And then if I go back into the report and look at the fresh one where I had a much shorter extraction time, then you can see the peak here. We can see the peak there. And then we've got 60 milligrams per gram. So what it says is when you're actually doing this kind of analysis, 50 milligrams, understood, in 1 ml buffer, and you really have to control that. You know, if you want a repeatable, precise result, then you really have to control that extraction time. Don't leave it necessarily standing around like me. You may have to do it quicker, but of course, then there's a discussion about total caffeine versus quick to extract caffeine. What people are drinking is probably quick to extract caffeine, but anything, you know, if you leave tea standing, it gets stronger and stronger because you're extracting all the tannins and extra molecules like caffeine. But if you do have any questions about this caffeine sensing technology from ZP, and you're looking for consultation on sample prep, then I want to say don't hesitate to contact us, and there's a contact us on the website. Okay, thanks very much.